I thought that he was a man who was committed to the struggle until I realized that Raila Odinga is a man who goes to fetch for himself.
Not a Democrat of any shade?
Never. He has never known democracy. If he knew democracy, he would not have abandoned the struggle at the time the struggle needed him most. Yani tumerudisha mahali Kibaki alichukua hii nchi kwa sababu yule jamaa ambaye tuko naye katika hii ambaye ni rais ni Moi tu. Is a Moi reincarnate. Kikuyus and Mount Kenya region voted for William Ruto knowing that he's a Kalenjin. Why is an issue of tribe now coming when we say Mr. William Ruto, whom we thought is capable of leading this country, is baseless, is rudderless, is incompetent? We voted for him knowing that he's a Kale. That is how we are looking at JK, and we are saying it's not available for alienation, not just to Adani or even to Ruto himself.
Really?
Yes. William Ruto lives in that confusion and miasma of his own confusion. He can never be anything better than what he is.
That you're not seeing the successes of the experts
Which
onboarded?
Success is boss? Success gani?
Even after
what success can you attribute or attach to William Ruto? By the way, you cannot speak about success and William Ruto in the same sentence. People will laugh at you. Nyimbo cia Ngai witu nĩ igongona rĩrĩ muoyo twahota atia kũmũinĩra twĩ ngombo.
Truly delighted to have you on Richard Mwenja exclusive. The month is December, the year of our Lord 2024. We continue unpacking conversations that are shaping Kenya's political and governance landscape. It's such a distinct privilege to have you at this time of the year. And today, I have one of your favorite think tanks. He is a renowned lawyer in this country, a man of many fasts, and he is Gishugu's biggest expert, certainly after Martha Karua. I'm talking about the Black Bull himself, the voice in the wilderness. Ndego Njiru Wakili, how are you doing?
Very well, Richard. How have you been?
I've been quite well.
Good to see you, man.
You went away from the show for a very long time.
Let me tell you, Richard, not that it has been by choice or by design, but by the fact that we have been consumed and subsumed in fighting for liberation of this country.
Oh.
And so much of the time we're in the trenches, fighting to liberate this country from bad governance, impunity, corruption, theft, spillage of the national our resources. You know, we're so much engaged in fighting Ruto and his rogue regime.
Let me hold you at that. You are talking about fighting Ruto and his administration and their excesses.
Yes.
But they seem to have a different view. And their view is that for minds like Ndego Njiru, they are out here to oppose everything, which he terms a spirit of those possessed by demons. Besides that, he believes that what you're opposing not based on facts, but reckless criticism. You know, for people like you who have been put on notice by people like C.S. Joho and even the president himself, don't you think you're opposing everything, sort of career critics?
The unfortunate thing about Mr. William Ruto is that he blames everybody and everything other than himself. So all the failures that his regime has actuated or experienced, for him he believes that people are trying to sabotage him. But there is basically nothing to sabotage. There is nothing to sabotage William on. And so when he sees it as it is, when people see it as it is, and they call it out, Mr. William Ruto gets quite agitated. But I know we are used to him. It's not the first time that he's losing his cool. William Ruto being what he is and whom he is, and going by our past experiences. So we expect him to speak the way he speaks. In matter of fact, if he were to speak otherwise, would be much worried. So he's speaking as William Ruto. That is who he is.
That is whom he is.
That is whom he is. So when he speaks as such, recklessly and aimlessly calling people sijui pepo, stupid, sijui wazimu, that's William Ruto for you.
A while back,
don't you ever expect him to ever change from what he is. because a leopard can never lose its spots.
He's unlikely to meet the light sometime soon?
He has never had one.
A Damascus moment, perhaps, coming his way soon?
William Ruto lives in that confusion and miasma of his own confusion. He can never be anything better than what he is.
A while back, let's circle back to the premiere of Gen Z protest in June this year. And even then, those who are calling for the accountability,
yes,
accountability from government, they were profiled as faceless anarchists, some were profiled as arsonists, criminals, of course, and now we are seeing them being called mademons, mapepo. Do you foresee a situation whereby the president could at some point be snared by his diction in the near future?
No, what will happen is, William Ruto is a very strategic man, but in the negative. He wants to deface us and dehumanize us, so that once he starts killing people, abducting people as he's doing, people will not sympathize with the victims, because he'll perceive that victim as a criminal, an anarchist, a protagonist, a demon. So he's creating a ground for dehumanizing people who are anti-his regime, like what happened in Rwanda. When the Hutus wanted to kill the Tutsis, they dehumanized them. They called them Inyenze, the cockroach, the tall trees, They dehumanized him, just like the way even Hitler did during the Holocaust. He dehumanized the Jews, so that once you start dealing with that Jew or with that Hutu or with that antagonist in Kenya, people will not sympathize with that person. They will think that you are now dealing with criminals, and the people will not get the public sympathy. So it's a move that William Ruto is calculating. Na tunamwonea mbali sana.
Does that then explain the woes Rigathi Gachagua, former DP, is facing? An attempt to dehumanize him so that he can be intimidated into silence?
If you remember how these, His Excellency, the People's Deputy President,
that is the word?
Rigathi Gachagua's all began. It began when he went to Kisumu, and he started describing His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the People's Deputy President, as archaic, backward. You remember the terms he used? Primitive. That's how he began dehumanizing His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. And slowly, you can see where we are now. So that is William Ruto for you. You remember in 2007, he spoke about Kwekwe. So when people were going to burn the Kiambaa church, and when they were going to uproot the residents of Lagas, Kiambaa, Yamombi, Morindoko, people were not, the agitators and the aggressors were not dealing with people. They were dealing with Kwekwe. So it's a strategy in war when you want to actively engage as against the people you perceive to be antagonistic. You dehumanize them the way he is doing it.
However, Ndegwa Njiru, skeptics to your argument would then say that when it comes to the troubles former DP Rigathi Gachagua is facing even to date, it is not because of other peripheral issues. It is because the president was a lone voice in his government. That's what he said. When it comes to speaking his government agenda, Rigathi had maintained pin drop silence.
So now Rigathi is out of office for the last 2 months, right? The only lone voice tunasikia kutoka kwa huyo jamaa is calling us demons. Is that what His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua was preventing him from doing? The only thing that he's doing is calling us stupid and mad. Is that what Gachagua was preventing him to do? Then he has the liberty and the leeway to do whatever he wants to do.
Is it that you're not seeing the successes of the experts
Which
onboarded?
Successes, boss? Success gani?
Even after
what success can you attribute or attach to William Ruto? By the way, you cannot speak about success and William Ruto in the same sentence. People will laugh at you. Yes.
The two can't go in the same line?
They can't go in the same line.
But look.
And of course, if you think they can, then you can point out to me, perhaps I'm blind, I'm not able to see what he has done for the last 2 years.
Does this mean that from the optics of Ndegwa Njiru, even after onboarding 4 experts from ODM, whom they are said to have been donated to the government to help salvage the ship that was sinking then, this far, if you look at the four CSS,
Yes.
don't you find that there's something to write home about?
There's basically nothing to write home about. People are suffering. The only thing he's telling us that the economy has improved. We check at the price of unga. As if he thinks tunakulanga ugali peke yake. We don't just eat ugali peke yake. There are some other issues that support this ugali. I mean, even when you say that ugali unga has dropped or the prices are reasonable, people do not have the purchase power. So even if it could cost 50 shillings or even 20 shillings and people have no money in their pockets, how will they purchase that good? And the reason why there is no money in circulation is because Mr. William Ruto and his cohorts are stealing everything. That's why the country is messed up. Let's
talk about his war on corruption. And
you know, boss, you don't start talking about his war on corruption.
Let's now go to the nitty-gritties therein.
Yes.
And let's begin with those who've been recommended for prosecution by our courts. And
yes.
that includes Gladys Bos-Sholei, Governor
yes.
Alex Tolgos, the former governor.
Yes.
And they're implicated in a graft case that is upwards of 2.1 billion Kenyan shillings. And we are sitting back as a country and wondering, will justice finally be peddled on Kenyans and taxpayers at large? From your end as a lawyer, do you see these men implicated in this graft heading to jail?
This is William Ruto's abracadabras. It will not see the light of the day.
Even after EACC recommendation?
No, it will not. Isn't he the one who caused the withdrawal of all those corruption cases? So it is meant to hoodwink us that William Ruto is doing good for this country. And that's what you can see, he's citing his men and women from his background, Kina Bos-Sholei and Targos. So that people can say, oh, William Ruto has seen the light. He has seen the Damascus moment. He's fighting, he's prosecuting his own people.
These are decoy.
But wait and see whether they'll be charged. Wait and see whether upon charge of Bos-Sholei, whether her case will be expedited. Wait and see.
You don't see that
These
coming?
abracadabras. Who can never trust William? Never. If anybody else out there has the capacity and the wherewithals on how to trust William Ruto, at least I don't have. I'm not endowed with that kind of faith.
Even after dropping the dealings of Adani when it comes to JKA,
he never did. It is us. Myself, Kibe Mungai, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, Daktari, Eugene Wamalwa, Jeremiah Kioni, and Tony Gashoka, and the Mount Kenya jurists that went to court and got conservatory orders. Wale watu ambao walikuwa wanasemekana tujafika airport ni sisi. It's us who are being referred to that we are opposing it and everything.
Yeah.
The Adani thing, by the way, Mr. William Ruto is not lucky because the matter that we have in court, the petition pending in court now, that has been brought by Mount Kenya jurist and Tony Gashoka, or Tony Gashoka and Mount Kenya jurists, and being executed by those team of lawyers I've mentioned, we got orders saying that it's not just Adani peke yake we want to deal with, any other person. So yes, we are saying we are looking at JKIE as our national heritage, where if you want to understand our heritage, you go to. If you want to understand our sovereignty, you go to. That is how we are looking at JKIE, and we are saying it's not available for alienation, not just to Adani or even to Ruto himself.
Really?
Yes. Even to Ruto himself or any other person, including myself. That's what we are saying, that JKIA can never go. Even if they brought the cleanest person without a blemish, we are saying JKIA cannot be alienated from public. So he has to live with that. Mr. William Ruto, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. It's our democracy.
And how
it's
about
our laws?
How about going full throttle on defending the Shah?
You know, I've never understood what all those things are about. And unfortunately,
healthcare reforms.
Last week, we buried a friend of mine. And of course, he was admitted in the hospital. And I'll not mention the hospital as at now because we are still doing investigations. When the wife went to make application for this shashi or whatever it is, she was told, unajua, we'll give you 80,000 shillings. But she was told, you must give us 20,000 shillings out of that 80.
Wait.
Yes.
That's how opaque the deal was?
It's not just opaque. It's a system that has been crafted by Mr. William Ruto to steal from Kenyans.
At the expense of the life of Kenyans and a
As
generation?
you were speaking, my friend was lying in a morgue, and the wife was being told, tutakupatia 80,000 shillings, lakini you give us a kickback of 20,000 shillings.
What happened to the sanctity of human life? Doesn't that make sense in the face of the government of today?
But what do you do when the head is rotten? When the head is this filthy and rotten, what do you do? There's nothing you can do about it. Because Mr. William Ruto is not inspiring confidence in people's lives. He's not implementing the constitution, because the constitution has created avenues whereupon all these challenges can be addressed.
Talking of challenges that are stemming from us not really living to the full spirit of the constitution, the country is held as hostage, all thanks to a non-existent IEBC. You're a legal mind out here. I want to understand, why is the country dragging its feet, or rather, why is the president dragging feet in making sure that an IEBC that is fully functional is in place?
Yeah, because Mr. William Ruto does not believe in the existence of institutions. William Ruto is an institution, is Kenya, is everything.
All by himself?
Yes.
A total man?
He believes that he's everything. And he wants to frustrate the creation of the IBC.
The blame has been put on the doorstep of Kalonzo Musyoka.
And let me tell you, and I may be wrong on this, but perhaps time might prove me right. What William Ruto wants to do, he wants to create this agitation. He thinks that the agitations will eventually find themselves in the streets of Nairobi. And when they find themselves in the streets of Nairobi, and the parliament being what it is today, a moribund, and an extension of the executive, William Ruto, because he wants to avoid 2027 elections, because we want to embarrass him by making sure that we send him back to Sugoi.
In one swap?
In one swap, one term. What William Ruto will do, he may want to declare a state of emergency to avoid an election.
60 years later after independence, a state of emergency?
Yeah. William Ruto knows that he's going to lose these elections, for sure.
Even with...
And Kenyans are committed to making sure that they give him a one term.
With or without Raila on his side, he's going to lose it.
Let me not... I wish him well in his endeavors. I don't really mention that man, but I wish him well in his endeavors.
We are coming back to that in a few, because a while back you are his biggest supporter.
But let me finish about the IBC. Why it is dangerous for us to just sit and watch. Remember, what we are now struggling with is the constitution of a panel that will interview the IBC commissioners. That's what we are struggling with. Koki Muli won a case in the High Court. But even before you go to that, this guy, Augustus Muli, when he was campaigning, he was flashing out money left, right, and center. He is not qualified because under the IBC Act, the seat was to go to the party, to an individual who is a member of a parliamentary party. Parliamentary party means that your party has members in parliament.
That was the rule of the thumb?
That is what the law says.
Okay.
That is why Koki Muli, coming from Wiper, being a member of a party, a parliamentary party, qualifies, and court says you have qualified. Augustus Muli's party has not even any MCA or even any person in parliament. So it is not a parliamentary party. So according to the law, he could not then qualify. You understand? But because he is a mole that has been put there by Mr. William Ruto, he had to make sure that he succeeds. So the person holding hostage the country today is not Kalonzo Musyoka. It is Mr. William Ruto and his moles.
So this is a deliberate attempt to
frustrate the creation of the IBC.
And make Kalonzo the sacrificial lamb? And to take the blame from Kenyans?
He can never be a sacrificial lamb because the law is very clear. Anybody who want to go and check can check whether Augustus Muli is qualified and whether his party is a parliamentary party. Anybody can go and check from the IBC Act. So remember, we have also not constituted the IBC commissioners. So there might also be some cases that will generate from the individuals who will participate as IBC commissioners upon interviews.
Sure.
So you can see this thing might get up to about 2025. Next year, at a time like now, because you cannot clearly say that there will be no litigations that will emanate from those interviews.
Let's take on matters to do with electoral.
So it means that we might go to 2026 without an IBC. And time is of the essence for the IBC to prepare to operationalize a credible, secure, free and fair elections, as per the Clear Commission's report. So Mr. William Ruto is very calculative, because he wants to avoid the one-term embarrassments.
The other day, you took concern with the president dishing out identification cards to refugees domiciled and hosted in Kenya.
Yes, I did.
And you believe that this is an attempt for him to amass votes.
To steal elections.
Why are you convinced that that's the strategy the president can use?
Mr. William Ruto is so much keen about issuing... by the way, let me give you the
Why don't you think about it from a humanitarian standpoint?
Because Mr. William Ruto has never been humanitarian.
Can't he be a Samaritan, a good Samaritan?
You'll be mistaken to think so. Completely mistaken to think so. But let me tell you that he's focusing on Kenyanizing 774,000 refugees. That will of course give him a boost of a 774,000 startup.
Head start.
He's Kenyanizing them. When we have a bulk of about 2 million Gen Zs who want to cast a vote against him without IDs, who is more legitimate to be given an ID? A refugee or a Kenyan? So because he knows the 2 million Gen Zs will cast a vote against him in 2027, so he's now thinking that the priority should go to the refugees. And that's how he's rigging the 2027 elections in advance.
This is deliberate rigging?
Oh, yes.
Of the elections in advance?
Yeah, because anybody who has been told that William Ruto has Kenyanized you will, of course, incline towards voting for that person.
You seem to have confidence that the Gen Z will send President Ruto home in 2027.
By the way, not just the Gen Zs, Gen Zote. Gen Zote, tunapiga kura ya kupeleka huyu jamaa Sugoi.
Remember, this is the same constituency that has been declared as a passing euphoria. It's going to be short-lived, and that it won't see the fullness of time. Do you believe there's an iota of truth behind that?
There's no iota of truth in that. The truth lies in the fact that Kenyans are waiting for the second Tuesday of August 2027.
But don't you...
That is one group who believes in constitutionalism and who believes that things must not be done in extra-constitutional. There's another group believing that William Ruto should go tomorrow.
Before
they are even feeling that they cannot wait for time to lapse. So there is that group, there is that school of thought that believes that, okay, we can still live with this stealing, these abductions, these extrajudicial killings, the stealing of the spillage of our resources, the nonsensical vaccination of our cows, the fake fertilizer, the fake shisha things, you know, the problems that we have with the education system, the funding models. You know, that group feels, okay, we can be patient enough so that we can hold the country together. Right? But there's another group that feels, I need William Ruto out.
Today, if not yesterday.
Today, if not yesterday. And that is their democratic right to feel so.
But the elephant in the room here, Ndegwa, is, yes, you want William Ruto to go home.
Yes.
The question is there alternative leadership?
Oh, yes.
Who then?
What do you mean?
There's a quota that he believes the person you're supporting, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, is just a decoy being used to pass the impression that there's someone, a force opposing William Ruto.
Let me tell
that
you,
all this could be a long con.
Anybody believing that is mistaken. I have had occasion to sit with His Excellency Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka, and I know where his heart is.
He won't change at the 11th hour?
He cannot change.
And on board a handshake of some sort like Raila Odinga?
Do you know, I have very strong convictions about how things should be done in this country.
Tell us.
And he has committed to making sure that this country gets back on rail. And we have been able to diagnose the problem in this country. And the problem lies in the failure to respect the rule of law. So our first approach will be to restore the rule of law in this country, to restore constitutionalism in this country.
Without going through a handshake with President Ruto?
Absolutely. You cannot restore the constitution through William Ruto. He does not believe in it. He never voted for it. He has never read it. So we are going to make sure that the country is restored to the path of the rule of law. And I'll tell you why it is important to restore the country back to the rule of law. If you restore the country back to the rule of law, you'll not see somebody bringing fake fertilizer in this country. Because procurement will be guided by the procurement law, the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. If we restore the country back to the rule of law, you'll not see the shoddy, concealed, fraudulent Adani deals. Why? Because it will be done in accordance with the Public-Private Procurement Act. Transparency, accountability, the rule of law, and the participation of the people will be incorporated.
Public participation?
Yes, because that is the principle in the Constitution. If we restore the country back to the rule of law, you will not see university students not going to school because their fee has not been paid. Because there will be accountability. There will be transparency. There will be prudent use and application of our resources. Article 201 of the Constitution on how the public resources should be appropriated will be applied in a transparent, accountable, equitable, equal, and prudent means. That is all what our Constitution dictates. If we get the country back to the rule of law, you will not see abductions and extrajudicial killings because any person arrested by the police will be taken to the to the courts.
No arbitrary arrests.
There will be no arbitrary arrests. If we arrest you today, tomorrow we shall make sure that the Constitution says 24 hours, we take you to court.
Kalonzo can make systems work?
Oh, we shall make the system work. It's not him, it is we the Kenyans who will make the system work.
In our lifetime?
Because we have witnessed that the failure to have a system that works in accordance with the Constitution can be very expensive. And remember, there's one thing that we must say and must remember.
Tell us.
That Kibaki ruled this country with the 1963 Constitution. The same Constitution that Moi used to kill people, to commit genocide in the country, to commit crimes against humanity, to steal public resources, was used by Kibaki again, and he governed this country. Everybody says we want to have a Kibaki moment. Remember, Kibaki and Kalonzo were together.
Sure.
So he's not very far away because the apple does not fall far away from the tree. So what we are then simply saying is this, Richard, that it's not important just to have a good constitution or good laws. It's also important to have a good person in office.
And
remember,
Ruto falls short of that.
He falls short of
Adjective.
that. He does not have the quality of a leader who can implement the constitution. So it is not just enough to say we have good laws, we have good constitution. We also have to have a benevolent person in office. In the statures of Kalonzo Musyoka, the statures of Uhuru Kenyatta, the statures of Kibaki, the statures of Mukisia Kitui, Dr. Mukisia Kitui, in the status of Okia Omtata, in the status of Arab Kirwa, that clique, in the status of people like Dr. Okuro Okot, in the stages of people like Miguna,
Martha Karua is not making
the
up your
stages
list.
of Martha Karua, you know, people who believes in the rule of law. And there are many of them. I would also mention Kivuta Kibwana. I would also not fail to mention people like Akina the Emeritus Willy Mutunga, or Emeritus Chief Justice.
So we have enough examples.
Chief Justice Maraga. We have, those are the guys we want to bring this country back to the path of the rule of law. If we succeed in making sure that the country is back to that path, kama tutaweza kuhakikisha ya kwamba nchi imerudishwa katika mfumo wa sheria na mfumo wa kuheshimu katiba, yale matatizo na zile changamoto ambazo tuko nazo siku ya leo zitaisha.
Do you attribute that the challenges we are facing as a country, you owe much of them to what the church called out as a culture of lies, a culture of falsehoods which are elevated, and the president really thriving by invoking fear?
But who has introduced this bad culture in our system? Isn't it William Ruto? It is him who has introduced the culture of lies, the culture of defrauding people.
So the church was right.
The church was right
By using those adjectives.
And remember, even to the run-up of the 2022 elections, I kept on saying that Mr. William Ruto is obtaining us by false pretense. It has now come to pass.
Zero legitimacy.
Sorry?
Zero legitimacy. It was all falsehoods.
Of course. And that's what you can see, his government is wavering.
So
like
what then
a palm tree in a desert.
You're talking about of a government that is like a palm tree in a desert, but
Yes.
there are those who hold alternative view like Opio and I, who say we shall support President Ruto today, tomorrow and forever.
Let me tell
because he's on that path of delivering Kenya to be the Singapore of Africa.
The best answer I can give to my friend Opio and I is that in Nigeria they say a well-fed crocodile is harmless. I think we can stop at Okia's Mudavadi on that a well-fed crocodile is harmless. Here in Kenya we say it's bad manners to speak with food in your mouth.
So what then do you make of the sentiments of CS Kipchumba Murkomen, who believes minds like you are opposing the president because of his tribe? You and the church.
Why would Mr. Murkomen think that the question of the tribal card is important to us at the moment? Kikuyus and Mount Kenya region voted for William Ruto knowing that he's a Kalenjin. Why is an issue of tribe now coming when we say Mr. William Ruto, whom we thought is capable of leading this country, is baseless, is randerous, is incompetent? We voted for him knowing that he's a Kale. People refused to vote for this reverend, what was his name? Mwaure. And he was a Kikuyu. We did not vote for him. We voted for Mr. William Ruto and we voted for Raila Odinga. None of them is a Kikuyu there.
So on that statement from Kipchumba Murkomen, do you read shallow thinking therein?
Well, it's not even shallow thinking. I think he needs some medical diagnosis.
Medical diagnosis?
Yes, perhaps even from a psychiatrist.
Ndegwanjiru.
Yes, because he might not just need a normal physician.
Let's advance that conversation further because I want to understand.
As we advance it, permit me again to go back to the question of the rule of law.
All right, granted.
We need, this country is ailing. The country is sick.
At what level? ICU, HDU?
ICU. If there is another level where the country can go to, we might go to that now, the other level.
To the morgue?
Yeah, that's where we are headed, to the morgue. But now, we need a very precise political surgeon or political physician who is going to administer the prescription that was given to this country. And the prescription is the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. So any physician, any surgeon who does not prescribe the Constitution as the only remedy, medication that is required for this country, huyu ni jamaa amepotea.
And for, let's, for example, say William Ruto is that surgeon, and then now he gets endorsed by former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
No, William Ruto cannot be the surgeon.
He doesn't possess the credentials?
No, that one can only give us concussions. William Ruto can only prescribe concussions. Ile unaendanga nipatie dawa.
It is said safari ya bamba ni machero and there's need to grant the grace of time.
Hii safari haitafika hii meli ya yumba sana bwana, bahari imechafuka.
Hatutafika soko ya bamba?
Bahari imechafuka hii. Kachafuka kabisa bwana.
We are led by a rogue
hii mashua haiwezi kafika.
A rogue captain, a rogue shepherd of the flog?
Hii mashua haiwezi kufika. Bahari imechafuka.
Let's talk about how now we can salvage the situation we are in as a country. The other day we saw the President Ruto pay a courtesy visit to former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah.
And he said that the visit was premised on addressing national concerns, not individual interest. So if indeed that meeting was addressing national concerns, are you convinced that now we're going to have a sigh of relief and sit back and say, let's wait and see what will come out of it?
If you saw what transpired, Mr. William Ruto gave his statement. And His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta issued his statement.
True.
The two statements were in variance, right?
Sure.
And I believe what His Excellency, the fourth president, issued is what was right and what is true. What was issued by William Ruto cannot be true. And by the way, if there was a meeting of the mind between the two statesmen, between one statesman and the other guy, between His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. William Ruto, they should have issued a joint press. Because that's what normally happens when two presidents meet, right?
Sure.
The fact that this guy had to go to back to State House and seek for some intercession by his intercessors, it tells you that there was no meeting of the mind.
And what were the mbusis for your Kikuyu elder? People are curious to understand why deliver gods to former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Unajua William Ruto ni mtu wa kujipendekeza. Ni mtu wa kujipendekeza kila wakati. Yes. So to us they are meaningless. He's not a Kikuyu. He's not a Mudhuri wa Kiama. We don't know what he brought them for.
So don't
hizo ni mbuzi za soup too.
You don't think that visit will help rally Mount Kenya behind his back in 2027?
Mount Kenya is so focused.
Because there are those who believe that now President Ruto has the blessings of Uhuru Kenyatta.
No. Even if Mr. William Ruto is a thing of the past in Mount Kenya region.
Done and dusted?
Hiyo ni maji ilipita kitambo. Hiyo maji hata sasa iko baharini.
Is that why you say aliona usiku?
Hiyo ilipita kitambo, lakini tulisema wacha ongee imtoke. Tulimwachia ongee imtoke.
Ndegwa Njiru. Look.
Sasa lakini nakwambia hivi sisi Mount Kenya region, we are so focused in making sure that William Ruto goes home.
Not even by him sending emissaries like Kimani Ichung'wah, Susan Kihika would convince the mountain that, hey, probably support this guy one more time, he can deliver.
Richard, would you allow us to discuss better things and more meaningful things?
But look, these are gentlemen who are the biggest defender of government policies and agenda.
Yeah, because a well-fed crocodile is harmless. So let's discuss better things.
All right.
For this airtime and for the sake of our audience. This guy, that boy from
Majority Leader in the National Assembly.
The boy from Kikuyu is not worth our discussion.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. We are looking at Rigathi Gachagua, our former deputy president, and many believe
and by the way, the people's and the only people's deputy president.
All right.
And I'll tell you why I say so.
In a few. But then again, there are those who believe that his political obituary has been written, published, and it's out there for the masses.
Yeah,
we want to understand.
They wrote one obituary for Abraham Lincoln. They wrote an obituary for Nelson Mandela.
Could there be a saving grace for Rigathi Gachagua?
They have written many obituaries, but the fact has always been that the people decides.
Rigathi Gachagua stands a chance to be larger than life politically in the near future?
His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua will be instrumental on how the 6 million votes from Mount Kenya region will be cast.
Despite the intimidation coming his way this far? It won't send him into cowardice?
The guy is bold. He says he's a Mau Mau. Yes. The only person who can stop him is a Mau Mau like him, and William Ruto is not a Mau Mau.
So you want to say today someone dismissing Rigathi Gachagua could be doing so at his own peril?
He already did. That's why the 6 million votes are not with William Ruto. They are not with the Komereras. They are with Itungatis.
Itungatis?
Yes.
Ndegwanjiru, there's something that is of concern to many Kenyans. And they're looking forward and they want to see a sense of optimism. Let's deal with the facts. Now we have President Ruto as our president. For a Kenyan going home this Christmas and they want to understand, could 2025 be better with us with President Ruto? What's your message to them?
2025 cannot be any better than 2024 if we'll still continue to have Mr. William Ruto in office. Because it does not mean well for this country. His policies are oppressive policies. They are extractive policies. All these policies that William Ruto has attempted to operationalize, they are meant to milk the little blood that is remaining in the veins of the hustlers.
At the expense of his legacy?
Look, he does not have a legacy. Mr. William Ruto doesn't mind about legacies. He's beating around the bush. He's doing guesswork, abracadabras with our country. And that's it. We are so committed to making sure that we send him home.
Trial.
Let me give you an example.
Sure.
Look at the fake fertilizer. It's meant to steal from Kenyans. Look at the Sha and She. It's meant to steal from Kenyans. Yesterday, I was very shocked when I got a boda guy, a taxi guy, and he was telling me his ordeals and his experiences with the Sha She. So he says that when he was filling the forms, aliulizwa uko na watoto wangapi, unafanya kazi wapi, uko na nini. So at the end of the day, the kind of the money that was assessed that he was supposed to pay is 3,600 a month. A guy who was paying 500. And that's not even our concern. Our concern is, let us pay the money, but let's also access the services. So we are paying and we're not accessing the services.
Value for our money.
Value for the money. So any policy that William Ruto is operationalizing is a fraudulent policy meant to steal from Kenyans. Look at the affordable housing. How affordable are they? Yet it is we Kenyans who are building these houses. It is the people in this government who are buying them. So we are constructing houses for these people. The way in the books, The Burdens, there's a book called a play called The Burdens. It was set up somewhere in Uganda. The author says that you're bleeding a leech to fatten a heifer.
Bleaching a leech?
Bleaching a leech.
To fatten the heifer?
To fatten a heifer. That is exactly what is happening in this government. The other day, Mutua came, this Mutua guy.
Labor CS, now exporting Kenyans?
Yeah, ni ule walikuwa na shida na Juliana, I think.
Giuliani, the artist?
Giuliani, it's called Giuliani, the guy who had a problem with Giuliani.
Sure. Are you not happy seeing him try to fix the unemployment problem by exporting labor?
I saw, and that person confided in me, that when he was taken to Dubai and those
Qatar,
Middle East, he was meant to go and become a taxi driver. Yeah? When he landed there, he was told, boss, your license at Uijui. Then he started engaging in kazi ya mjengo, where he's paid 750 shillings a day. He was not even paid. He had to start copying money for a flight back. So he says, hata huyu mutua wacha apeleke watoto wake huko. So there's nothing that is working in this country.
This is cheap populism, knee-jerk reaction to fix unemployment.
Yes. Look at the hustlers' funds. What can you speak home about?
Financial inclusion of some sort?
Zero game.
So what happens to Mama Mboga, whom much was promised for her on the bottom-up economic transformation plan? Was that dead on arrival?
Mama Mboga is in the category of what the Bible says. Kuna ule alikuwa nazo akanyang'anywa zikapewa ule hana.
Parable of talents.
The parable of the five. Is it the three talents?
The talents.
The talents. That person who never had was alinyang'anywa zikapewa ule ambaye alikuwa nazo. That is the policy William Ruto is operationalizing this country.
You seem to be quick to render this government as one of Ananias and Sapphira, Kanini to the core.
Useless government.
Economical with the truth?
Bure kabisa. The faster we get a mechanism of getting this government, a constitutional mechanism of getting this government home, the better for this country.
Let's talk about the future of Kenya. There are those who are looking at Kalonzo Musyoka. Others are looking at Okia Omtata. Even within that outfit supporting Kalonzo Musyoka, people like Eugene Wamalwa, their parties have already endorsed them for the presidential bid. So yes, there is a force out here opposing Ruto, but it seems also to be a force with cracks within.
No,
how are you going to...
No, they are not cracks. They're not cracks.
Then why not sit back, don't endorse someone for the presidency now?
Okia Omtata, senator, is one person who believes that the country is not being led in the right way.
Sure.
Eugene Wamalwa Waziri also believes that the country is not being led in the right way. Martha Karua believes that the country is not headed in the right direction. His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka believes that the country is headed to the dogs. I believe that the country is sick. You see, another person believes that William Ruto should go to Sugoi. So, we'll all pull from our own directions, but with a common purpose. And at a particular point X, we shall converge.
The enemy is one.
The enemy is one. Adui ni mmoja. William Samoei Ruto. So wherever Mutata is, Kalonzo is, Martha is, Kioni is, Waititu is, or someone like Wamalwa is, Kirwa, Mukisia Kitui, Miguna, our mind is very clear. We must sort out governance in this country.
One word, Ndegwanjiru.
And I told you, sorting out this country is getting back to the path of the rule of law. Because our constitution speaks about good governance. It speaks about good governance. Yes.
Before we gravitate to the end of the show, in the interest of time, I want to understand something. There are those who want to make sort of a comparison, much as comparison is a thief of joy. Ndegwanjiru, what comes to your mind when I mention Anthony Muheria, and on the other side when I mention Oscar Sudi with regards to the future of Kenya?
Hapo ni kama you're comparing ule mtu amelala na ule amekufa.
Who is the dead in this case?
Oscar Sudi.
Why are you convinced so?
Because I don't even think that he deserves our airtime. We better speak of people and gentlemen like his Grace Bishop Muheria. At least his Grace Bishop Muheria is worth all the airtime that this country can afford.
Is the church regaining its lost glory of the days of Bishop Okulu?
The church has reclaimed itself. The church is what it is today. It was used to be. And we believe that the church will remain firm to the struggle.
Ndegwanjiru, very finally, Kenyans are concerned, those who support Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, whom you are one of the biggest allies right now and marked at the center of his political strategy. They are quick to sort of analyze the choice of friends Kalonzo is working with. And they want to understand why work with someone with a stained political figure like Babayao, former governor of Kiambu.
Yeah.
Why center on Mount Kenya region? Why not go across board and make friends in Western Kenya, Luo, Nyanza? When it comes to the choice of friends Kalonzo has this far, are you convinced it's the choice that can propel Kalonzo to the farthest heights politically?
You cannot say the choices. In this country, we are being led by an ex-ICC indictee in the name of William Ruto.
ICC alumni?
ICC alumni. His Governor Waititu has never been there. Who doesn't know that William Ruto is an ex-ICC indictee? But he's in at the helm. So who is this who can poke a finger in his nose?
They are questioning why work with Maina Jenga, why work with Rigathi Gachagua, why work with Governor Babayao.
But if you were to look at the people who is working with the filthy people, you know where. Well, unajua ni nani? There's need of mentioning them. You know, people Kenyans know and they cannot be fooled.
Those on the other side stink to high heavens?
If an ex-ICC indictee is a president today, or about a person who has just been impeached that he has successfully challenged that impeachment in court, like Governor Waititu? I mean, somebody needs to take a cue and look at it. Yes.
That is your case.
That's our case.
All right.
But the hope that we must give to Kenyans is that we are going to restore this country back to the path of the rule of law. And I am so convinced, beyond reasonable doubt, that that is the cure that this country needs. That is the remedy this country needs.
Don't you think by the...
That is the diagnosis and the prescription that this country needs. Because our constitution speaks volumes and how things must be done. But again, it's not enough to have a good constitution and have a rogue individual like the person that we now currently have. So we must pair up a good constitution with a good human being. It must be paired up.
Siamese twins.
They are Siamese twins. A good constitution with a good man. A good constitution with a prudent man. A good constitution with a diligent man. A good constitution with an honest man. A good constitution with a faithful man. A good constitution with a committed man. A good constitution with a vigilant man. A good constitution with a man who believes that this country can change.
All those absent in William Ruto?
Who believes in the possibility of the country. Who believes in the possibility of having a country that is governed by the rule of law. That man is a man that we are now missing. That's why the country is sick. That's why the country is ailing. That's why the country is slowly walking to the morgue.
Don't you think with the new deputy president in town, Kithure Kindiki, is going to help us
There
get
is no
that
point
man?
of redemption in this country when you have William Ruto at the helm. So Kenyans of goodwill must join together, must come together, must conglomerate, must congregate with one view of restoring this country back to the path of the rule of law, redeeming this country, reclaiming this country from bad leadership, and putting this country back to real, making sure that this country is redeemed completely and reclaimed so that we can start rebuilding it. Because we are now going to start where Kibaki met us in 2002. That's where we are beginning. Yani tumerudisha mahali Kibaki alichukua hii nchi kwa sababu yule jamaa ambaye tuko naye katika hii ambaye ni rais ni Moi tu. Is a Moi reincarnate.
Moi Zion?
This one is even worse than Moi. So, my brothers and sisters.
You mean we have a dictator in the making?
Not in the making. Confirmed. What are you talking about?
Can't you be polite to the president?
Man, you know.
Or at least in the spirit of Christmas, to go slow.
There is nothing to celebrate about. And if you have seen, even in town, there are no Christmas trees, there are no that lighting, people have nothing to celebrate.
Actually, on Jamhuri Day, it wasn't really having the aura and the oomph of a national holiday. Why so?
There was no aura. Yeah, there's no aura.
Is it because there's a sense of hopelessness in this country?
There is a sense of hopelessness. People have been backed up by a lot of financial difficulties. Watu ni wagonjwa nyumbani kwao, SHA and SHE is not working. So people have been backed up by so many problems.
Rightly
But I can tell you,
Sure.
there is hope tomorrow.
Okay.
Maintain the hope. Let's remain focused. Let's put our eyes on remain our eyes on the ball. That Ruto must go. Kasongo must go.
The other day you were calling him Arab Mashamba.
Yes.
Now you are calling him Kasongo.
He is called William Ruto Arab Tama, William Ruto Arab Kasongo, William Ruto Nabi.
Perhaps why you have the courage to walk into a church with a t-shirt customized.
It's my conviction. It's my conviction.
Freedom of expression, or now you are doing the excess of it?
No, that's how I express my feeling against this president. Who doesn't know that I don't like William Ruto? Who doesn't know?
Some believe it's because he has never appointed you to any state office.
Even if he would appoint me to be the manager of his bedroom, I would never take it.
Finally, Ndegwa Njiru, before I get sued or you get sued.
Yeah.
Raila Odinga, at some point you were his biggest cheerleader and you supported his ideologies.
Yes.
Looking now at him, looking at the AUC bid chairmanship, and you've been among the quarter that praise for his doom, that he doesn't get the seat.
Yes.
Why are you now becoming an enemy of progress on the side of Raila Odinga?
I thought Raila Odinga was a patriot. I thought that he was a man who was committed to the struggle, until I realized that Raila Odinga is a man who goes to fetch for himself.
Not a Democrat of any shade?
Never. He has never known democracy. If he knew democracy, he would not have abandoned the struggle at the time the struggle needed him most.
His supporters believe he's done much for the country. Second, liberation. Well, it's now time for you to...
No, all this liberation is not attributed to Mr. Odinga. There are many people who lost their lives. What did Mr. Odinga lose? There are families who lost their dear ones. What has that family lost? So, this second liberation is not even a fruit of Mr. Raila Odinga.
And now you're
Mr. Raila Odinga is a man who will change depending on where his interest is. And oh, unto you Africans, if you think that Mr. Raila can do anything better for Africa.
It is why
my heart goes to the Djibouti champion,
Mahmoud
Yusuf, because when we support one of our own, we are called tribalists. Now we are going to become Pan-Africanists.
And now they are going to call you unpatriotic.
Well, I don't want to be patriotic. Patriotism does not mean that they should support a traitor in the name of Raila Odinga. Yes.
A political conman? You want to render him as such?
Well, if we had something better, would use it to describe Raila Odinga.
In the event that he doesn't clinch the seat, the AUC bid,
yes.
Do you foresee him coming back, inheriting his organic following, and probably giving Ruto a run for his money, or any other force opposing Ruto?
You know, this Mr. Mr. Raila Odinga has this misconceived conviction that the life begins and stops with him, that Kenya begins and stops with him. This Kenya is bigger. Jomo Kenyatta was here, Masinde Muliro was here, Matiba was here, his father, who was a Democrat, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was here, Tom Mboya was here, J.M. Kariuki was here, Martin Shikuku was here, you know, and so many others. Wangari Maathai was here, George Saitoti was here, and so many others. Kibaki was here.
So he's in the first.
So he's not going to be the first and the last. Even us will come and go. So this country will not stop because Raila Odinga has not become president. And we are praying for the African leaders to be led by the spirit of Kimathi.
Kimathi wa Washuri?
To do that which is right. To face the devil and call him out.
To face the devil and call him out. That's the clarion call from constitutional lawyer Ndegwa Njiru. He is the voice in the wilderness, literally calling out which is going wrong, that which is going wrong in this country, and probably the need for us to change tact. If so, we desire to be that Singapore of Africa, or at least to be a nation that really respects the rule of law, and also one which has humanity at its center. That has been Ndegwa Njiru for you. And someone here from Germany is asking Ndegwa Njiru to sing his trademark song, Kerenya Gai Tungati. Why are you obsessed with this song, by the way?
You know, it's because we have what happened in South Africa sometimes back, what was called the black consciousness. Now in the Mount Kenya region, we have the Mount Kenya consciousness. And we also cascading downwards. We have the Kikuyu consciousness, the Embu consciousness, the Meru consciousness, the Tharaka consciousness, and the Kamba consciousness. It has dawned on us that the country cannot progress with bad governance. And therefore we are rekindling the spirit of Kimathi, because Itungati are basically revolutionaries. That's the spirit we are rekindling. So when we sing this song, it rekindles that spirit. Of the spirit of the desire to see that things are done in the right thing. We also have another song which we're singing about the liberation. We cannot sing the Lord's song in a foreign land. We cannot sing the Lord's song when we are slaves. You've heard of it?
True. And it's Christmas. You need to be generous with some of the lyrics.
Yeah.
Drop it. This is
the lyrics go like this. Hidiria Isiraeli manyitetwo memigwate aria manyitete mameraga twinire inyimbo iria moinagira Ngai wanyu hindiria mwari ohore mutukenie kai muto Ngai witu kai muto uria tari nyimbo cia Ngai witu ni igongona riri muoyo twahota atia kumuinira twi ngombo. Simply the song says the children of Israel were being told, see, when they were in captivity in Babylon, they were being told, sing the Lord's song to us and make us happy. Sing those songs which you used to sing when you were free. And then they would respond and say, how can we sing the Lord's song when we are slaves. Don't you know our Lord's songs is a living sacrifice that we sing to our Lord? They defied and said, we cannot sing the Lord's songs when we are slaves. That is exactly what Kenyans are saying. That there is nothing to rejoice for when we are slaves. Because Mr. William Ruto has made us slaves. We are slaves of his oppressive regimes. We are slaves of his oppressive policies. We are slaves of his taxations. Our children have become slaves because they're not going to school.
Shackled to do.
Our children are now being exported to Asia, to Qatar to become slaves there. How can we sing even our national anthem when we are slaves? That's why you saw people boycotted the Jamhuri celebrations, because we cannot celebrate when we are slaves. How do we sing even the Kenyan songs when we are slaves? So we must liberate ourselves. And that's the consciousness we are speaking to. That we must liberate ourselves. We must see that we are not going to be slaves anymore and cut these shackles of slaveness. And the person to watch, if you want to be free, is Mr. William Ruto. He's the one who has made us slaves. We will not sing. We will defy to make sure that our defiance speaks to the heavens and get William Ruto out of State House. We can never be resolved as we are today. We can never be as focused as we are today. We can never be as determined as we are today to make sure that Mr. William Ruto enjoys only one term. Thank you.
That is it.
That's it.
Well, there you have it from constitutional lawyer Ndegwa Njiru. He's unpacked so much that's happening in this country and also offered nuggets of wisdom on how better we can forge ahead as a country. Thank you so much, Wakili. We've been with you on this journey of civic education since last year. It's now almost clocking 2 years on the show.
Yes.
Thank you for elevating the show to what it is today, the biggest political and governance show and economic show in Kenya.
Yes, Richard.
And thank you for being gracious with your time, your kindness.
Thank you, Richard.
Putting your resources into making such productions.
Yeah, thank you.
Come to life.
Yeah.
And we not only thank you, we also say many thanks to your family and especially your brother who runs this law firm.
Yes, my brother is my partner in the firm. With great support from our spouses. And we would wish to take this opportunity to wish our viewers and our listeners a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that one of the New Year resolution that we must all Kenyans make is that William Ruto must go home.
All right.
The other resolution that we must make is that we are going to put in a government that will be keen to operationalize the Constitution. So on the eve of the New Year, when they go to count, when we get to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you get to 1, you must say, Ruto must go.
Before you say Happy New Year?
Yes. Instead of saying Happy New Year, you say, Ruto must go.
Well, let's see how that unravels in the fullness of time. But for now, let me wind up on my debt of gratitude to people who've been of much value to us as a production house. And I was talking about Ndegwa Njiru, who's been gracious with his time and resources, driving to this to our studio every other time, and we don't offer you anything per se. But beyond that, sharing your insights on this program for the better good of the country.
Thank you.
We are deeply humbled and grateful for that. Your brother for always hosting us on this law firm. That is Charles Mwangi Ndegwa. Many thanks to your family as well, led by your wife, Lorraine Danu.
Yes. And thank you for coming for our wedding.
I had to. Yes. And I was an MC, by the way.
Yes,
showing up for
a friend. You did a fantastic job. Yeah.
But that's what friends are for.
That's what friends are.
All right, and special thanks to your children, Ndegwa Njiru Jr., Muisio, Wangoi.
Yes, and Wangoi.
Now let me grant you the pleasure of introducing part of your family which has come here.
You know this guy, this boy is my brother's son. He's called Ndegwa Njiru, Ndegwa Mwangi too. And this is also Ndegwa. This is a son to my elder brother. This is son to Mwangi.
Okay.
And of course our elder brother is here. He's called Muriuki.
Your elder brother?
Yeah. Of course, Muriuki saw us when you were growing, and another brother called Kimani.
Good.
Yeah. Kimani is the tallest in our family. So you can see the size.
The Ndegwa's family.
Yes, but we are more than this. Kuna wale wako hapa. If you were to come, all of us, we would never fit in this small office here.
We say asanteni sana.
With Mzee Ndegwa still at home, aging graciously, and Mami, wish them a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
All right.
Thank you.
Asanteni sana for supporting my brother here, who is doing so much good work to the country.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Let me get you off the camera so that you can sign off.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me remain with Wakili Ndegwa.
Yeah, thank you.
Ndegwa, thank you so much. Have a
Asante.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Richard.
Have a Happy New Year.
Are you going to Moise?
I have to. And people are very sad because they expected this show to come straight from Croton, your home. Like last year.
God will give us a grace.
Some other time, right?
Yes, yes.
Because you're still in this town.
Na sasa ni vizuri ni kutume na mbuzi ya mzee.
Mzee Kamau.
Unajua mimi nilaisha mbuzi.
Aha.
So lazima mzee akule mbuzi.
Asante sana.
Yes,
They'll be very grateful.
Pass my regards to them. And my message of goodwill for the new year and Merry Christmas.
Asante sana. Merry Christmas, and one more time, Merry Christmas to Lorraine Danu, Ndegwa Njiru Jr., Wangoi, and Muisio. Those are the children and spouse of Ndegwa Njiru, the lawyer, who've been very gracious to us as a production house. Until we get to do this again next year with Ndegwa Njiru, do enjoy your festivities. Wakili, Kerenyaga Itungati, we cannot live without that song.
Mokuria nene ngwigwa mokuria Kenya ne yao Kirinyaga ya Itungati mutiuke tumutaikie warigai na tumure na tatha ino Kenya tia mukoria mugeni Kirinyaga ya Itungati. That song says hii Kenya sio ya ule bibi mgeni. Hii Kenya ni wale watu ambao wanaamini Itungati is patriots. Hii Kenya ni ya patriots. So if you are a patriot from whichever walks of life you come from, you are a Gitungati. And therefore we must fight the new woman who has come into our house. This Kenya is a democracy. It must be governed as a democracy. It must be governed by the rule of law. And this government is not able to adhere to those tenets.
All right, asanteni sana, and thank you so much for keeping us company throughout the year. This has grown to be a show that has now become larger than life in matters to do with economic, governance, and political analysis. All this thanks to you. Wait to onboard you next year, God willing. Until that, next time, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Masaa sasa ni ya kwenda Moi's Bridge.
Step into Brooklyn Boutique in Juja today at JB Stores, first floor in Juja. Discover the latest women's fashion in jewelry, clothes, shoes, bags, and purses. Call us today at 0721 348 629. Brooklyn Boutique, where style meets elegance.